So we're going to go ahead and start standing. And let's just stand in the middle of our mats and face each other. I'm going to shift this up ever so slightly. Good. So right here, go ahead, just bring your feet all the way together. And then spread your toes out just a little bit. So see if you can look down and see a little space between your toes. Getting a big reach, widening through the ball of the foot. And then take a second and bring your weight firmly into the middle of your feet, such that your tailbone pulls down, the fronts of your thighs lift up. Good. So the quadriceps are engaging. Good. And the hamstrings also, because you're pressing your heels into the floor. So let's take a second. Roll your thumbs in, pulgares arriba, and then afuera, and then out. So we're going to roll in, adentro y afuera. Good. Adentro y afuera. Let's try that one more time. And then from here, I just want you to exhale, bring your palms right in front of your heart. And then we're going to take a couple big breaths just to ground, just to anchor, and check in any injuries, any discomfort, any sensations, any thoughts you're having to work through. Just take a moment to salute them and say hello. Good. And then let's use an exhale to bring your arms all the way up. So feel this relationship now between your thighs and your hands, palms pressing into one another, thighs pulling towards one another, each rising up, lifting up. Good. And then let's exhale, bring your arms down, slide your hands to the fronts of the thighs, bend the knees. Inhale, la cabeza arriba, so bring your head up. Y ahora cabeza abajo. Good. Let's try that a couple more times. Inspirando arriba. Expirando. Very nice. Inspirando arriba, stretching all the way up. Expirando abajo. Good. Last time. Inhale, come up for a moment. Now lengthen out your back. Sweep your arms to the side. Now create a little length in the legs. We're going to doblamos, bend, and straighten the knees just a few times. Remembering to push, empujamos por los pies, pushing through the feet. Exhale, rising up. Good. Take that couple more. Beautiful. Now take your two hands to the low back. Exhale, let the top of your head come forward. Take a couple big breaths. Good. And then we're going to inhale, inspiramos. Take your feet and walk them wide now. Good. So let's stretch your arms up and out. And then create a back bend by rolling your palms towards the sky. Again, tailbone comes down. Feel the back lengthen. Very nice. And then exhale, take that over into a flat back. Let's try that a couple of times. So you're going to inhale into big lengthening. And then exhale, taking that length forward. Inhale, coming all the way up. Exhale, coming all the way, just letting the head hover above the tailbone. Good. Inhale, stretching, reaching all the way up. And then exhale, coming over just one more time. Let's pause. Bring your two hands here to your thighs for a moment. Slide the hands down the legs. Estiramos. You're going to stretch all the way down. Doblamos la cabeza. Very nice. And then you're going to take the head down enough. So nodding the head. From here, inhale, lift the head and chest all the way up once again. Two palms come together. Estiramos to one side. Inhale, stacking. Exhale, over to one side. Inhale. And exhale, stretch and reach. So let this side bend. Engage your abdomen. Lengthen your back. Good. Maybe you're growing this each time. Beautiful. So now from here, create a little rotation. So you're going to go towards one leg, sweep through the center, y arriba otro lado, and then stretch up on the opposite side. And now estirando, otra dirección, creating a big sweep, and lifting up. So now I'm going to turn my right toes out and turn my back toes. Those are my left toes. So either mirror me, go opposite. Good. So let's exhale. Bend your front knee. Feel the calf stretch. Feel the heel anchor into the floor. Exhale, straighten, come into that half forward bend, arms to the side. Good. We're going to inhale, find a big warrior one. And then exhale, landing once again in a half forward bend. Inhale, coming up. And then exhale, bringing forward into half forward bend. Beautiful. Take a moment here, hands to the low back. Exhale, let's melt your head down and stretch. Estiramos, abajo, stretching all the way down. Your right sitting bone, el isquion moviendo en la dirección de la izquierda. Good. Let's exhale. Sweep, bring our weight right back up. Pivot your feet. So vamos a hacerlo otro lado. You're going to try that same little sequence on the other side. So remember now your front knee is going to bend. Remember your heel, your knee is going to not go beyond your heel. So walk that foot out a little bit. And then the back knee is going to lift up fully, completely. So we're up and then into a flat back. Inspirando arriba. And then exhale, finding a flat back, stretching at your toes. Inspirando arriba, stretching up. Exhale, finding a flat back. Good. We're going to inhale, come up. Exhale from this flat back. Las manos, put the hands there on your low back, and then exhale to slowly, slowly lower all the way down. Give this 5 breaths. Reaching el isquion, so you're taking your left sitting bone towards the right, feeling the hips centered, grounded, compacted, stretching, strengthening, and then we're going to exhale, bring that all the way back up, turn back to face forward, inhale, arms up, and then exhale, this time create a scoop, so your arms are going to reach all the way underneath you as you forward bend. Once again, so now my palms are facing up, and I'm going to exhale, push through my feet, lift through my tailbone, and bring myself all the way back up. This time, I'm just turning my right toes out, so I can go the way that makes sense for you. I'm going to bend this knee so my knee comes right over the heel and then reaches back. So aiming for function. The other thing you want to make sure is that you can see the big toe, so you know you've externally rotated the thigh as you bend. Good. Take this just a few times. Waking up. Beautiful. Good. Your arms can now float out. Let's hold the arms out. Good. Take a big stretch. And then exhale. Let's come towards this leg. Again, top arm moves over the ear, lengthening at the side of you. Beautiful. Exhale, coming up, reach away. Good. So this whole side elongates. Good. Inhale, moving back. Now sliding the hand all the way down the leg. Continue to open the leg as you float towards the floor. Chest is open, Trikonasana. Okay, so friends, hear me when I say stay in your Trikonasana or take your top hand to your hip. Now walk your back foot in, a foot or two. Take this hand that was on the ankle, reach it out. So everyone, you can pause here, or if it feels nice, if it feels comfortable to lift your that opposite leg, give it a stretch. Take it in the air. Opposite arm up. Standing balance, so good for our nervous systems. Good. Exhale, set that foot down and come back through your Trikonasana. Bend the knee, come up through a warrior two, and let's change sides. So turn those toes in, shake and loosen where you need to. And then from here, let's turn your opposite toes out and then just begin this act again. So when we bend, the knee comes over the heel. So important. Good. And then as the knee is coming over the heel, we're working, endeavoring to bring the hips back. Good. We're continuing to stretch the toes. Good. So sometimes putting hands on your hips can be helpful. When you feel ready, reach the arms out. Good. Just waking up some power in this leg. And now from here, we're going to exhale, fold toward it. And stretch, reach, take that top arm up and then perhaps over the ear. Estirando. Beautiful. Inhale, coming up and away from that leg. Sweep and take the opposite arm over your head. So side of the back. Stretch moves the other way. Inhale, coming up. Good. Now exhale, this time lengthening out over the leg. So you feel the inner thighs stay firm, connected, balls of the feet, heel connected as you lower to the floor. Top of the head basically lines up hasta allá con tu tailbone, coccyx. Good. And then your top hand to your hip if you want to move into Ardha Chandrasana or just stay in Trikonasana. It's a glorious pose. But if you want to move into Ardha Chandrasana, we'll step the back foot in. We'll move your top hand out. And then we're going to, that's your bottom hand, move it out. Then lift the top leg up and take your top arm also. So 5 respiraciones aquí. Give it just 5 breaths. Creating length and energy through both legs. Good. And then as you feel ready, setting that foot back down, moving back into a Trikonasana. Good. Bending the front knee just enough to come up to a warrior 2, to turn it all in. And suddenly I'm warming up, so that's good. So now let's step to the top of your mat, and this is my right side. So you're going to start moving through a little flow, not really like a maybe sun salutation-esque, but not really. So inhale, take your arms all the way up. Good, a big long stretch of the back. And then let's exhale and create a slow dive forward. And from here, inhale, look all the way up. And then exhale, I want you to bend your 2 knees, give your hands firm to the floor. Step your right leg back, step your left leg back, and then we're going to move up into a little Adho Mukha Virasana, a little Adho Mukha Shavasana, down dog. And then from here, so you can do this with a blanket beneath your knees if you'd like. And in fact, I recommend. So your knees can come down, and then your hips can move down, and then the sternum can rise up. And then we're going to exhale, move all of that back to a child's pose. And then exhale, move the tailbone up in the air. And we're going to repeat that just a couple of times. So here we go. Knees move down, they anchor to the floor. Hips move down, they move in that direction. Sternum rises up as shoulder blades pull down. Your head, your gaze lift. Good. You scoop into your center. Move your weight back. Adho Mukha Virasana. From your Adho Mukha Virasana, we'll plant the toes once again, coming up into a down dog. And exhale, move the knees. Now really think, hips, take them slowly, slowly forward and exhaling up. Beautiful. And then from there, exhale, move back into a child's pose. We're going to shift this as we come up. So now moving, pressing the hands down into a down dog, Mukha Svanasana. Now from here, just pick up your right foot and let your left calf get a real stretch, just with that foot lifted. And now we're gonna place your right foot behind your right hand. And then we're gonna inhale, come stretch forward. And then exhale, move the hips and thighs back. Let's try that a couple times. So just thinking about that transfer of weight front to back. Remember, knee is gonna stay lined up right over the heel when you come forward. Sacrum moves in, knee, shins stay vertical. Makes sense? So do the adjustment you need to on your feet to make sure you can maintain that alignment. Here we go. Exhale, reaching up. Good. And then from there, coming right back down. Let's do that one more time. Inhale. Exhale, reaching up. And then from here, come down. You can leave that back knee planted. Lift, take your arms up. Good. And then we're going to take opposite elbow to thigh. So I'm now twisted. Good. Let's exhale. Move your hands back so they come under the shoulders. Curl your back toes under. Lift the hips. Step the front foot back. And then here we go. You'll try that same sequence. This time con la pierna izquierda adelante. So I'm going to take my left foot forward. Good. Bend my back knee. And remember to line up the bones. Knee over your heel. Beautiful. And then exhale, pushing back, stretching, letting the head come down. Hamstring stretches. Good. Inhale, coming down. Sacrum moves in. Beautiful. And then exhale, pushing right back up. Good. Take that one more time. Inhaling down. And then this time we're going to exhale, let that back heel plant. Find your balance. So you can stay upright for a moment, letting your abdominals stretch. Or now just take opposite elbow to thigh, twist and anchor. Deep breaths. Inhale back through your center. And exhale, place those hands down. Relift your hips, relift the pelvis up. And step that back. Let's take the knees to the floor. And now the forearms to the mat. And from here, once again, just reach your hips and tail back so that as your head moves forward, the armpit chest gets a big stretch. I've got my palms in. And now inhale. Bring my weight. So now my shoulders, you want the shoulders, los hombros, to be right over your codos, your elbows. So let's exhale and lift. Good. And as you lift, walk with your feet, your tailbone up. Coccyx arriba. And then you want to feel your scapula as vertical as you can. You could even take the top of your head down if that felt good. You could try lifting one leg for a moment. It's getting a little stretch with the knee bent. You could try lengthening that knee. Bend the knee, allow the leg to come right back down. So even my head right here is touching the floor. There's no weight on my head. I'm holding all that weight through my deltoids, through the shoulders. Let the right leg come up. Good. Exhale. So it can stay bent. Leave the knee. So you're getting a stretch in the hip as you come up. And then an extension there. And then an exhale to release. Let it come down. Let your knees come down. Now from here, let the hips move forward and the head chest lifts opens. Well, let's press. Empujamos. Push through your hands. Lift your sternum. Rising up. So I've got my hips and my pubic bone are up on the blanket. Good, and then I'm gonna exhale, bring that right back down. Try that a couple more times. Push through the arms, feel steady in the shoulders. Exhale, lift. And we'll bring that right back down. Let's push once again. And then let's make a little turn of the head, checking in with your neck. Good. And then from here, let's slowly lower all of that back down. Pause for a moment, bend your two knees. With just your right leg, let the right leg float down and up a few times in the hip socket. Good. And now we're going to try that with the left leg. Let it come down and up a few times in the hip socket. Do you feel the opposite part of you? The opposite side is anchored, pressing down. Beautiful. So now we're going to move your two heels towards your sits bones and just hold there for a moment. And so you should feel the quadriceps being able to stretch just with gravity, bringing the shins down. Now from here, take your two hands to your sacrum, lengthening out your back. I'm going to take my right hand to my right heel for a moment. Feel a stretch, just a small thing. Exhale, hand moves right to my back, and then same thing, left hand to your sacrum, and then to the heel for just a moment. And then right back down. And then squeeze your two shoulder blades together. Take your hands to your ankles. Now this is if you want, if it feels good. Now I'm going to reach my thighs up from the floor and let my sternum come up. Just hold this for about 5 breaths. And then we're going to exhale and release. Bring your left hand or the hand furthest from the computer screen overhead, and then you're going to roll onto your side. And let's try this. Take your two hands together overhead and then stretch your top leg up in the air. So the goal is to find some stability through your pelvis. Just with that leg floating up and with the opposite leg pressing down. Good. You can take your hand now anywhere to the leg it reaches comfortably and stretch. Let's exhale, bring the hand right back down to the bottom hand. And now push that top foot into the floor. Lift the bottom leg up. Pull the bottom rib cage up from the floor. Just feel like a little side plank. Give it a couple big breaths, elongating each exhale. Beautiful. Release. Take that top knee down, top arm back, and stretch. Beautiful. Use an exhale, bring the top arm down. Okay, Nikki, and this is, well, it's not fully, te explico más tarde. I'll show you a little bit later. So two hands pulling in, take that top leg, lift it for a moment. Now squeeze your two knees in. And then I want you to push some weight in your hands and then try lifting one thigh. Good. All right, we're gonna come back down and now try lifting two thighs. Whoa, hello, abdominales. Just like 5 breaths right here. Good, 2 and 1. So those little moves are preps for arm balances that we haven't done yet, but one day, or we haven't done in a while in any of these classes, but one day. So I think it'll be good to work on that. And then maybe later on, I'll show you the full arm balance. But okay, so let's come down. I'm getting ahead of myself. Okay, so top hand, let it press into your bottom hand. And then for a moment, just feel, so when that hand comes up and the feet are flexed, you might already feel a stretch in the side of your back on top and through the hip. So just enjoy that for a moment. And then you're going to externally rotate and lift your top leg, creating minimal fallback through that top hip. So this top hip wants to stay over the bottom hip, and you should really feel the power in your inner thigh, and the external rotator is the thing that's keeping you up. So deceptively a challenge here to just hold that leg up for a moment. But I think being good at this will help us do this pose in the air. So now the top arm can lift, and then you can see, again, without ambition or aggression, just see what happens if that hand and foot reach towards one another, hand and ankle, hand and thigh. Big stretch. And bringing that leg right back down for a moment. You're going to externally rotate. Take the top foot into the bottom thigh. Lift your legs. Lift your ribs. Good. So this should feel like a little bit of work again now for the bottom inner thigh and also for the oblique wall, right and left, arriba y abajo. So now we'll set that leg down, la pierna abajo. And now your top leg, let it stretch forward. Take your top arm, let it stretch back, estirando atrás. 2, 3 más respiraciones. So take just a couple more breaths. And then the top arm comes, presses down. And the top leg, let it reach back. And start putting a little bit of weight in that arm as you come up. Good, maybe holding that leg lifted for a moment. Beautiful. So now we're going to squeeze your 2 knees in. And then fold at your elbows. Bring some weight in. Let's try that again. Fold at the elbows. Bring some weight in. And then fold, lift just your top leg. Hold that for a couple of breaths. Even lift your bottom arm. Whoa. 3, 2, 1. Exhale, bring that up. Are we feeling that? Anybody else feeling? That's real to me. All right, so now we're going to try 2 legs up. Good, as you bring that weight forward. So if you ever wanted to do fancy arm balances, this is a really good prep. Thigh bones up from the floor, top arm pressing down deep. Exhale, release, let's move that back through a down dog. So one move can take you up into a down dog. Slide your little blanket out of the way. And now bring your right leg up. Oh, and again, feel that deep stretch in your left calf. Bend your right knee now. Now see about placing the right foot behind your right hand. And exhale, coming up into a warrior 1. Couple big breaths. 2 or 3 respiraciones. Good. And then from here, hands float behind you. And you're going to transfer some weight just into your front leg. So if that's all you did, was just transfer that weight there, that's great. If you'd like to also work on creating a warrior 3 by lifting the back leg, extending the sternum, couple breaths. Exhale, release the leg. Good. Inhale, stretch, coming up. Now this time, opposite hand moves to the opposite thigh, and you're going to take Parivrita Trikonasana. Good. Now from here, both hands down, pivot in your hands. So you're going to turn your back toes in, pivot, pivot, pivot. 2 hands, opposite side of the mat. Now step the front foot back and you're in a down dog. Once again, big stretch. So now we'll try that same sequence, but it's going to be your left leg that rises up. And then that knee bends.
So try to really get the heel on the opposite leg to stretch away from the toes so that all of the calf there gets a deep stretch. So now use an exhale, place the foot between your two hands or behind your left foot. Inhale, coming up. Gather your energy here for a moment in a warrior one. Beautiful. And then from here, we're going to exhale and start to bring some weight into your front foot. So hands to your sacrum. And I want you to feel the relationship between your head and your tailbone. So your head should be rising up in a warrior three, and the tailbone should be reaching out and away. So let's see. So you can just hold right here. Or you can lift that back leg. And then we're going to exhale, set it down gently. Take your opposite hand to the hip, sliding down the leg, Parivrita Trikonasana. Good. Now we're going to exhale, take two hands down, and walk your two hands around. And pause for a moment, a little Padottanasana. And then we'll exhale, come all the way up into standing. Okay, so we got some time. So Nagin requested that we work a little bit on Bakasana, crow pose. I have a lot of thoughts about this pose, so we're gonna do a few things to kind of help us get ready for it. So put your blanket in the middle of your mat. Some of that is just working on core strength and, silly little things. So let's exhale. Take your arms up, and I want you to come and actually see if you can hook your armpit around your knee joint, right? So we're going to try that a couple times, couple different ways. Just see if you can stretch forward. We'll do this a few times and hook your armpit into your knee joint. And when you do it, you see they fit together perfectly. It's like they're made to go like this. Good. So let's try that a couple more times. All the way forward and all the way down. So now let your armpits and your knees come together for a second and just breathe into that. So this is like a relaxed version of crow pose, or the restorative version of crow pose. Good. So let's see if we can make this a little bit more about your core now. So you're going to inhale and exhale, sit back for a moment. Just bring one knee up. Good. And hold that for a few breaths, feeling your belly pulling in so your center, your back is supported. Good. Exhale, let it come down. Opposite leg lifts. Again, feel that whole abdominal wall fire up. Good. And then see if you can lift your two legs. Hold that for a couple of breaths. Good. And then we're going to exhale, release, and let that come down. So just remember, if you're like done putting weight on your hands or you don't want to mess around with this anymore, you can hang out. You can continue to stretch your armpits, and you can continue to work on core strength, right? So those are the components of the of crow. I guess there's some other options too. If you were to, so now I'm going to come onto all fours for a second. Fold this blanket up so you have a little prop for, a happy accident. So put your hands here back behind your blanket, or perhaps even slightly under. And then exhale, lift your hips, and then bring your knees right back down. So let's try this 5 times. We're kind of just warming up our arms for a crow pose. So hips and reach up, and then right back down. Good. Let's try that one more time. Hips reaching up and then coming right back down. Good. Oh, one more time. So now you can bend the knees as much as you need to. Walk your knees into your armpits like we did, but now you're on this different plane. So I want you to see right now, you can see how high my butt is. This is not crow pose. We're just, again, continuing to prep. So with the butt up, knees in, and then I'm going to try to put that squat together. So I haven't taken any weight in my hands per se. I've just got my butt down, my knees in my armpits. Okay, so full crow would then be, and you may want to watch before you try. So those are our little warm-ups. I'm going to bend my elbows, walk my knees in. I come up on my toes, and as I do, I drop until I can get my tailbone beneath my head. Then the weight pitches forward. Then you pull your heels together. So you can try that, and I want to remind you, getting your feet off of the floor should not be the objective. Trying to get all of your weight in your hands should not be the objective per se. Right now, it's just the practice of getting good at navigating your weight. The other thing I want you to know is I do not practice crow pose, like getting my weight off my feet with my butt up, because it's not stable. It's not actually the pose. And if you fall on your face. If your tailbone is beneath your head and you lose your balance, your weight pitches back. And it's actual deep core strength. Does that make sense? So in the practice of crow pose, to me, it's very important. And you see this, I have seen it a lot in yoga classes where people are up here, and just know if you lose your balance there, your core is not engaged at all, and your face hits the floor. So a safer and better way to just continue to think about this pose is tailbone down, then the heels can lift, and right back down. And if you aim for keeping your knees in your armpits, you'll keep those bones up the legs enough that you'll keep those bones up the legs enough that you'll really be able to hold the pose. So let's exhale, come onto your blanket for a second. If you have crow pose questions, bakasana questions, you can ask me otro después de la clase. So let's just take a second and release some of that. I'm going to take my head just kind of side to side, my legs in a Janu Shirsasana situation. So coming over, a big long stretch of your side. Inhale, coming all the way up, and exhale, taking that stretch in the opposite direction. And then inhale, coming all the way up. Let's exhale, pull yourself here into a Baddha Konasana for a moment. One hand, one foot. Hold and kind of rock this hip. And then you can stretch and extend that leg out to the side. Good. Vamos a bajar. You're going to lower the leg right back down. Take your fingertips here to your big toe. Exhale, stretching the opposite leg up and out. Fuera, afuera. Good. So now from here, if you like, practice picking up 2 feet, right? You can just stay here. Or voila, if you want, practice extending the knees just any amount. Trying to keep your spine lifted, tailbone lifted, or tailbone anchored rather. Beautiful, beautiful, beautiful. Exhale, release. Head to each side for just a moment. Let me check and see. Oh, we should go down to the mat. Vamos a bajar. We're going to lower to the mat. Take a couple big deep breaths and call it a class. So, In my journey here, I'm just take my hands to my toes for a moment and then move my shoulder blades apart as my head comes down. Okay, here's another thing I'm gonna do. I'm gonna take the insides of my knees or the inner knee to my temples and kind of squeeze with my inner thighs. Give that a few breaths. Oh. Then we're gonna inhale, come up. Remind me, Nagin, when this month is over, I think we should do Agnisara Kriya. So let's exhale and roll. When it's time for us to all do a deep cleanse, we're gonna do the old Agnisara Kriya. I'm gonna put the blanket for a moment under my head. Good. And then exhale, just stretch one leg up. Exhale, let the opposite leg come right next to it. Let the shoulder blades pull together. And then let the legs just sort of softly move a little bit in the hip socket. The knees can soften. Just let that little movement relax you. And then you can slowly allow the legs to melt down to the floor. Extend long. And bring your manos a los abdominales. You can put your hands here on your abdomen. And let your breaths move full and deep. And then slowly, when you feel ready, just begin to wiggle your fingers, your toes. And circle the ankles, circle the wrists. Oh, take your arms overhead. And then as you do, stretch your fingertips back towards the top of the head so you stretch out your wrist. And then let's exhale, bend your two knees and roll to one side and come up into a seated position. Con las palmas juntas with your palms together. Oh, bow the head, close the eyes. Your practice is a gift, everyone. Thank you. Enjoy the rest of your morning. Namaste. Buenos dias.